Do you ever have days when you feel busy, frustrated, and stressed? Possibly more than just days, but maybe weeks, months, years. I have come across a little recommendation that I think works well for me and might work well for you. Okay, so let's take this up. Busy, frustrated, and stressed. How can we eliminate some of that? I can't promise that you will ever eliminate all of it because life happens. We have pandemics. We have staff who forget to order supplies and you run out at the worst possible moment. We have staff who don't show up for work and you are shorthanded for the day. There are so many things that can frustrate you, can make you feel stressed, and like too much is on your plate. Now, I think the first thing to think about is some of them you can't do anything about. Can't change a pandemic. We had all these regulations come in on how your practice was to be run and dealt with and so on, and some of those regulations are still in place and maybe always will be, who knows. But the point is that that's something that you have to live with and figure out how to organize it so it doesn't stress you out and so that it flows. That's something that is outside the realm of normal problems that you can care for. Now, when you have staff that forget to order supplies and you run out of those suddenly at the worst possible moment, that's something you can do something about. And if you have staff coming up to you with personal problems and things they don't know how to do and special requests from certain patients and the staff don't know what to actually do about it, and you got too many cancellations happening, that's quite a common thing to have happen, and that can really stress you because you're all geared up for an awesome day and then half the day on schedules or on books or decides not to show up at all and not give a call. So these are things that you can do something about. So my recommendation when things like that happen is, why don't you make a list, take a pad of paper or your phone if you're the kind of person that records everything on your phone, and make a note for a couple of days every time something stresses you, frustrates you, or makes you feel too busy. Okay, note down what it was, and be mean to your to the situation. Be mean, like anything that frustrates you. I don't care whether it's that somebody stepped on your toe by accident. Put it down, because we're gonna have to sort through those and see which things are things that you can do something about and which things are accidents that could have been avoided and which ones are ones that couldn't have been avoided, like you accidentally went in the same direction as your staff member and they stepped on your foot. Okay, fine, that's gonna happen. But if it's because they're never in the right place at the right time for their position in the practice in working with you, and that's how it happens, and they're awkward and so on, this is something you can do something about. So you have to take that list now that you've got it finished and sort out what is something that can be done something about, you hope, and what are things that there is nothing that you can do about it. You can't make the pandemic go away. Okay, you can prepare yourself, all sorts of things. But here's the thing. There are ways to handle situations in the practice with good policy and systems and structure. And so what I advise is you take that list that you've now winnowed down to something needs to be done about it, and actually sit down with your staff at a staff meeting and go over each item and have them work out what could be done to improve it, to get rid of the problem, to smooth things out, and so on. In this way, they actually have a hand in creating the solutions, and they're much more likely to actually implement them and keep them in place. Like sometimes you haven't delegated, well, who's in charge of ordering supplies? So one of them should say, well, why don't you put me in charge of it, because I seem to have the most knowledge in that area, or whatever they want to say. Okay, so get down all of these things that they work out, write them down, have one staff member delegated to do that perhaps, and then also make them in charge of making sure these things actually get implemented and that they stay in. You could even have a checklist, and so weekly the staff member in charge could assess with you, did this happen, did that happen, and so on, so that it becomes a habit that these things are all in place and no longer make you feel stressed, busy, and frustrated. And there you have it. The solution is in your hands. I've given you the solution. And now let's see if you can implement that with your staff. I mean, most teams are very good about this. If you say, hi, I'm so stressed, frustrated, and busy, and I need your help. So that's why we're having a staff meeting, because I think you guys can think of ways to save me. Okay, there's a suggestion how to bring it up with them, and I hope you have fun with it. And if you have any other questions or anything, let me know, because I can help you. So what I suggest is that you subscribe to our playlists, and that you share this video if you have anybody who's a friend who's stressed, frustrated, and busy, and give me a like if you liked it. Okay, thanks so much for listening. Bye for today.
To get your practice analyzed, contact the Art of Management at 416-466-6217.